Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Deziel, and in today's video I'm showing you a variation of the Peter Pan or the flat collar. We'll assemble a collar with the cord piping and we'll do the bias finishing at the neck. For the second one, I decided I'm going to cut them both exactly the same. The reason why is because I want to do a cord piping all around like the one you saw at the beginning of the video. So I'm going to go to the machine and assemble my cord piping to one layer on the right side of the fabric, and I'm going to sew it with the cord on towards the inside, so just like that, using my cord piping foot. I wanted to show you the foot I was talking about. So there's a slit here according to the size of your cord piping, so you can never change the width or the distance of your seam. And you might have noticed that it's a little bit inside, so you see my fabric there, but total is 1 centimeter. The thing is, my cord piping was a little narrower than my seam allowance. That's why I did that. And the next step you're going to do is to take your other collar piece and place it face to face and go stitch them together using the same foot. Now, when I did the sewing, you could do the test, but I usually put the new piece under and the piece that already has the cord piping over, because when you do sew the cord piping on, it has a tendency of going a little smaller at the edge, so I keep my larger piece, so the new one, under, and the teeth will do the job and match them up together. And the next step you have to do is, just like we did for the other Peter Pan collar, you're going to notch, de-notch very evenly all around your collar. Now when you're done with your notch, you could turn it around and you will see right away that you don't have to struggle with the shape. It's really nice right away. No need of understitch. So you just have to assemble your neck together at 0.5 and give it a little press. Once your collar is ready, we're going to take the bodice. And this one here, I just did a placket like I did on the straight collar video. So I already did my 2 folding, but I didn't stitch the placket. The first notch I see here will be my center front, and I'm going to put the collar over my bodice and I'm going to stitch them together, starting at the center front all the way to the other notch for the center front. Now for this collar, we don't have facing, so I decided to show you how to do the finishing with bias. And before doing the bias, I would like you to notch diagonal all along your neck seam. Now that the collar is notched properly, we're going to sew the neckline at the placket area before doing the bias finishing. So you're going to open it, and the first fold of your placket, you're going to turn it right side with right side, align your center front notches together, and you're going to sew just that little placket distance at your seam allowance of the neck. And you're going to do that on both sides. So again, the first fold, turn it upside down, so right side with right side, align your center front notch, and sew just for the placket distance here at your neck. You could now see the 2 neckline at the placket that are sewn. So we're now ready to assemble the bias to the neck. So you're going to place your bias over and you're going to sew, overlapping a little bit the bias, overlapping on the placket, and you're going to sew with your normal seam allowance all around, overlapping at the end also. And then you're going to flip your bias and understitch at 1 millimeter also on the bias. Once your bias is sewn to the neck and understitch, we're going to do the last seam, and to do so we're going to fold the unfinished bias side all the way until the next seam, and then fold the whole thing, the bias, completely towards the bodice. When you're sewing, you're going to place it like that and stitch. Make sure your collar is on one side, bodice on the other side, and you're going to stitch a tiny little top stitch on the fold side of the bias. I usually place it for a little while, sew, and then you continue. It will be easy for you to fold it and keep it even, no problem, while you're sewing. Now that the bias is sewn to your neck, what you could see from the outside is just a top stitch, and of course it would be the same color thread as your fabric, and you have one more seam to do, or two more seam to do. It's the top stitch for the placket. So turn your corner out, and from the inside just stitch at 1 millimeter from the edge of the fold all the way up on your placket. And you do that on both sides. You could see I already did it right here. Our collar with bias finishing is finished. You now have 3 different ways to finish the collar. Doesn't matter if it's a shirt collar, a stand collar, a flat collar. You could use either method for all of them. We did the clean finish, now bias finish, and in my last video I show you the finishing of the neck with the facing. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.